Once upon a time, there was a pumpkin patch that was said to be haunted. People whispered that on Halloween night, the pumpkins would come to life and attack anyone who dared to venture into the patch. One year, a young woman named Emily decided to test the legend. She had always been fascinated by the supernatural, and she didn't believe that the pumpkin patch was really haunted. On Halloween night, Emily drove to the pumpkin patch and parked her car at the edge. She stepped out into the darkness, her heart pounding in her chest. The pumpkin patch was eerily silent. The only sound was the wind rustling through the cornstalks. Emily took a deep breath and started walking. As she walked deeper into the patch, Emily felt a chill run down her spine. She had the strange feeling that she was being watched. She stopped and looked around, but she couldn't see anything. Emily continued walking, and soon she came to a clearing in the middle of the patch. In the center of the clearing was a giant pumpkin. Emily approached the pumpkin slowly. It was even bigger up close. It was so big that she couldn't even see over the top of it. Emily reached out and touched the pumpkin. It was smooth and cold. As soon as her fingers touched the pumpkin, she felt a surge of energy flow through her body. Emily took a step back, startled. She looked at the pumpkin again, and this time she saw something different. The pumpkin's eyes were glowing red. The pumpkin's mouth opened wide, and it let out a terrifying roar. Emily screamed and turned to run, but it was too late. The pumpkin's vines wrapped around her legs and pulled her to the ground. She tried to fight back, but the vines were too strong. The pumpkin leaned in close to Emily. Its eyes were glowing brighter now, and its mouth was dripping with saliva. Emily closed her eyes and waited for the end, but it never came. When Emily opened her eyes, the pumpkin was gone. She was lying on the ground, alone in the pumpkin patch. Emily stood up and brushed herself off. She was shaken up, but she was unharmed. She didn't know what had happened, but she knew that she would never go back to the pumpkin patch again. The next day, Emily told her friends what had happened, but they didn't believe her. They said she was just making it up. Emily tried to convince them that it was true, but they wouldn't listen. That night, Emily's friends decided to go to the pumpkin patch themselves. They wanted to see if Emily was telling the truth. They never came back. Emily never saw her friends again, but she knew what had happened to them. The pumpkin patch had gotten them. Emily lived the rest of her life in fear of the pumpkin patch. She knew that if she ever went back, she would never come back alive.